So before I watched this show, I was on the fence. On the one hand, it was an American sitcom picked up by E4, and the advert made it look as funny as an infanticide documentary. I chalked this one up as being just another soulless, familiar American sitcom made for an audience who doesn't want it. But then, on the other hand, some people I pretend to respect said that this show occasionally holidays in the same county as the concept of good. So watching this would either reveal a chunk of gold hiding under a brown and distinctly fecal shell, or reveal that I'm always right. And the answer is the extremely disappointing secret option C, both. So this show follows a selection of one-dimensional characters who work in a New York Police Department precinct as they solve crimes sometimes. It stars Andy Samberg, who I'm not terribly familiar with, apart from a brief but memorable appearance on the Comedy Central roast of James Franco, Cuckoo, and The Lonely Island. If this is the first time you ever heard of The Lonely Island, do yourself a favour and look them up on YouTube. It should help you briefly forget that there's porn on the internet. He is really this show's ace up its sleeve. He's the only well-thought-through character with obvious traits, a bit of a mishmash of traits that sometimes don't go together, but that doesn't change the fact that I laughed at him a couple of times. Apart from this slight surprise, I was completely right about everything else about the show. It's a list of embarrassing cliches performed by stock characters who have no complexity. The cliché list includes some old favourites. One of the main cast meets the others for the first time in the pilot. The lazy and unimaginative way of introducing characters and their personalities. The three, and it is always three, separate but somewhat connected stories running through every episode. This is basically, if you throw enough shit against the wall, some of it's going to stick method of writing. Just in case you're not keen on one story, there are two others that you might like. And then from out of the blue, a will they won't they scenario appears and turns this show into the easiest to write show in history. This show could have been set in a bakery or a library. The police station is just a setting that hasn't been abused beyond belief yet. That, or the way this setting was decided, was that someone threw a dart at a board containing several different locations after the scripts were written. The show obviously tries to marry a cop drama with a traditional sitcom, a bit like Chuck and the Wrongmans do with spy dramas, but the result is a pale version of each. Unimaginative comedies intercut with one or more moments of drama or action, none of which contain the characters shooting an unarmed man or even just arresting someone based solely on the skin colour, so as far as I can tell, it isn't even realistic. If you're looking for a time sink that's easy to watch, with comedy that even the drunkest mind can follow, I did laugh a couple of times. I suppose there are worse options. But this market is already far too saturated. There are far too many choices, and this one, apart from the decent performances from Samberg, this one really doesn't add anything new. In fact, it removes brain cells. Oh my god, it's trying to turn me into an American.